Yo, what's good? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chuck. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate the support recently. Have a bit of a fun one for you guys today. We are doing another tier list just of the Scarlet and Violet era. We are excluding Sword and Shield for the purposes of this video because Scarlet and Violet has basically ended. We are moving on to a new block very soon in the Mega Evolution set, in the Mega block. So this is going to be one of my last tier lists, more than likely, for the Scarlet and Violet era, at the very least during the era. So on the left, we are going to rank them by investability. On the right, we are going to rank them on vibes, chase cards, really how I personally feel about the set. I wonder if you guys are going to agree or disagree, and then see if there's any correlations we can make in terms of what could perform better in the future, because one day I think it'd be interesting to come back and look at both of these tier lists and see, if we were correct about the investability side, and then if we were correct based on, what we know about the set value, chase cards, how we generally feel about it. I think it's good to kind of hone that skill over time, and it's a good way to keep a pulse on the market. But before we do that, a quick message from our sponsor, the Shiny app. One feature I love about the Shiny app being so accurate with their price data is that I was at a card show and I wanted to check some booster box prices quickly, and the Shiny app makes it really easy just to tap and see real-time eBay prices, which again are updated twice a day with verified sales. It's quick, it's accurate, and it's perfect for making smart decisions on the fly without wasting any time getting your price points and making decisions about if things are priced accurately. Thank you again to the Shiny app. All right, let's get into it. Starting off, again, left side investability, right side our personal opinion. All right, we're comparing them 1-to-1. Scarlet and Violet, that's where we're going to begin. We might bop around. We could go in order. We'll see how I feel. Scarlet and Violet is the oldest booster box in the SV era, obviously, SV01. A set that nobody really cared about that much, but, it's probably the best base set that we've gotten of all time, aside from the obvious one. At least in the modern era, that is definitely true. You have the Gardevoir line, Drowsy. You have a number of really, really nice IRs, really cool arts. Whether you like them or not, there has been a lot of interest in this set, and I think it's pretty good. And I think one of the main benefits, one of the main things that Scarlet and Violet base has going for it is the fact that it is pretty old at this point, well over 2 years old. Getting up there in age, not getting more boxes. I think the last time we got more boxes was earlier in the year with Obsidian Flames, if I remember correctly. So I would rank Scarlet and Violet base on investability. Honestly, I would give it a C. I think it's pretty good. I think it's relatively cheap. And I think when you compare it to other options in the era, I feel like it passes for me, and will probably continue to age decently well. Vibes, I would also give it a C. I think it's a pretty good set. It's pretty old. I don't have any issues with it. I like the cards a lot. I'm a big fan of Gardevoir and the line in general. Drowsy, all of that, right? I might move this as we go on, but for now, this is kind of going to be our anchoring point going forward. All right, cool. Paldea Evolved. That's where we'll go. Paldea Evolved. I think Paldea Evolved is a really, really good set. When it came out, and during that, SV01 to SV04 block, Paldea Evolved was looked at. If you were around, you knew that a lot of content creators were talking about the set like it was underrated, pretty good. And if you had to choose one, it would be this, which is part of the reason why it led me to buy a couple boxes on TikTok Shop for under $80 at the time. Would I be paying $350 for it? I'm not personally. I just think there are better places to put your money right now. From an investability standpoint, Paldea Evolved, it's a good set. It's a top box in the era. Personally, I'm not investing in it at all right now. This might be a hot take. It has the Magikarp Raichu. Tyranitar, right? It's a pretty good set. Really good set. Really good chase card. Of course, it is just an IR. PSA 10 kind of contributed to this, really inflated the price. I think from an investability standpoint, it doesn't feel like we're going to get more Paldea evolved in the future. It doesn't feel like we're going to get more booster boxes. You know, we had a small restock on vending machines. Didn't really affect things too much. Feels like it's done. You know, we'll get more products here and there. Ancillary things like Pokeballs and whatnot. This is a hard one. I think it will perform pretty well going forward. I'm going to give it a low B. A low B. And I actually, that's about how I feel about, I would say I feel like it's a low A set based on its age, based on its chase card, based on the strength of the other IRs. You know, Paldea Evolved, I don't think is super investable right now, but I don't see much tanking the price of the set. And the PCTB is a monster. Really, really great promo. And the Pikachu, cool box. But again, very expensive. I'm just not buying at these prices. And if I'm not buying at these prices, then I'm going to drop it down to a C. And I'm actually going to drop... I'm going to leave it an A, a weak A for now. We'll see how it shakes out. But I'm going to drop this down to a C. I actually think Scarlet and Violet base, if you compare them 1-to-1, as far as investability goes, based on their price points, maybe it's a hot take, I would feel fairly comfortable buying Scarlet and Violet base boxes at 190. But the mantra on the channel is we buy the best sets at the best prices, right? That's what we're focusing on. Paldea Evolved, I might shift this around. We'll see, we'll see. But that might be a hot take to a lot of people. But I'm not buying a 350. No way. Just not doing it. Just not doing it. Obsidian Flames. One of the first boxes to really move in price, interestingly enough. Charizard, Cleffa, Pidgeot. Not the strongest set in the world. It is the Charizard set of the era. So many packs printed. You know, kids like the set. People like ripping the set. The pull rates are pretty good. Personally, I think it's just ahead of Scarlet and Violet base. It's definitely going to be more desirable in my opinion, but I don't think that much more desirable. That's where I'm leaving Obsidian Flames. Y'all know I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't even like the Charizard that much. I think there are better Charizards in the era, personally. So, honestly, I don't have a ton to say about Obsidian Flames. It's pretty old at this point, over 2 years old. I think it will do well in the future. I'm comfortable having it in C, though, for my personal opinion on how I feel about the set and investability on the left. 151, investability, obviously our first S tier. Will it be our last S tier? I don't know. I don't know. But 151 is incredible. Gen 1 nostalgia. It will stand the test of time. And you can still find products at MSRP right now. And I think even products at market are a fine play. I just bought another bundle for $60, which was a bit under market. But these are the types of deals that I think you can find at card shows or locally or whatever, and come out ahead in the future because, you know, 151 is coming up on 2 years. It's coming up on 2 years. And what we know is that for special sets, after 2 years, we see a lot less product. Now, I think we'll probably get some product throughout the end of the year for 151, if I had to guess, and maybe a little bit into next year too. But after that, you know, I think that'll probably be it. I would say by summer next year, it is almost certain that we will not get much more 151 product after that. And how I feel about the set personally, Gen 1 nostalgia, really, really cool chase cards. I love opening it. I love the boxes. I love how they look. I love the promo cards. I love everything about it. It is an S tier. And that is a pretty obvious S tier for investability and for how I feel about the set. Paradox Rift. I think Paradox Rift is investable. I think a lot of the SIRs are pretty undervalued, and the Roaring Moon, Iron Valiant, maybe even a bit undervalued. The Roaring Moon's a lovely card. I've seen it in person a lot. I like it. I might pick up a copy just because I like Roaring Moon. I like Salamence, all that. Of course, you have the Altaria, the Groudon. Pretty strong cast of IRs. What it's lacking is the mega chase card that you would hope that booster boxes have, like Paldea Evolved with the Magikarp, right? But Paradox Rift is a good set, and for its price, sitting around 215 bucks, you can probably find it 200, maybe even a little bit less. I'm definitely putting it a head above Obsidian Flames and Scarlet and Violet. I'm going to put it in low B, and I'm actually going to shift Paldea to be just ahead of it. Low B era. I like the set. I think it's definitely investable. The lack of chase card will hurt it, and there's a lot of product for Paradox Rift. So, you know, don't expect huge moves on Paradox Rift in the short term, but over the next year, I could see this, you know, kind of cutting ahead of things like Obsidian Flames, Scarlet and Violet base, you know, Temporal, sets like that. I'm going to put it in the B category in terms of, you know, how I feel about it. I think at the right price, it's pretty solid, but I'm really only going for booster boxes for this set. Everything else, not as interested, but I do believe this set will age pretty well. Paldean Fates, investability. It's a complicated one because everything is so expensive and we haven't gotten huge reprints for it pretty much ever. You know, ETBs are in the $200 range, pretty insane. I just got a PC ETB. They are now sitting around 260, I believe. I just got one for 181, which I thought was a fantastic deal, so I'm happy to have that in my collection. Pretty strong promo in the Mimikyu. Definitely not in the top of the promos for the sets, but look, Paldean Fates at MSRP is an absolute no-brainer. Everybody has called this the dark horse of the era, myself included. Bubble Mew is arguably the best card of the era, in my opinion. I think it probably is. It's at least top 3, right? The Shining Charizard. The Shiny Charizard is a fantastic card. It's a better Charizard than the one in Obsidian Flames, which is the main chase card of that set. And you have the Gardevoir, which is a lovely Gardevoir art. It's very classic, very pretty, very nice. And then beyond that, you know, a bunch of baby shinies, whatever. No big deal, but 3 really good chase cards. Investability, I'm going to give it an A because I think it's a bit expensive. I think PC ETBs are relatively undervalued, although now they're creeping up in price because I think people have realized their price compared to regular ETBs. You know, for $50 more, you can get the exclusive Paldean Fates PC stamp promo. To me, that's a no-brainer. I think booster bundles, I think all the products will do well. I think ETBs are pretty damn expensive, but high set value, incredible chase cards. This is a set that will do well in the future. I'm putting it in S. That's how I feel about this set. Investability, I'm putting it at A, a little bit under 151, just because I think there are better entry points for 151. And I do think that it will, I do think 151 is going to be ahead above Paldean Fates in terms of liquidity and desirability in the future, being Gen 1. As far as my personal opinion goes, it's going to be under 151, but I love the set. I love Shiny Mew. Bubble Mew is incredible. Bubble Mew is incredible. And it's a very appealing art to a wide array of fans. And I don't think that gets talked about enough. So for me, again, left side investability, right side, how we feel about it. We'll draw correlations at the end of the video. Paldean Fates goes there. Temporal Forces, I think it's fairly investable. I'm not crazy about like the ancient and future cards, you know, with the Raging Bolt, Walking Wake. The cards are pretty. The Pokemon are just stupid as hell. I don't think things like crowns and things like, you know, these gimmicks are going to age well. I understand that they were pretty cool in the actual TCG, but from an art perspective, they look nice. Some of them look really cool, like the Iron Boulder. But not iconic Pokemon. Doesn't appeal to a wide mass of people. I'm going to put it ahead of Obsidian Flames just because I think the arts are significantly better. But I don't think the Pokemon are going to stand the test of time as well. But at $200 for a SV booster box, the value is there. I mean, is it even more expensive now? I'm not even sure. It might even be like $230. For that reason, I would put it below Paradox Rift, personally. That's how I feel. As far as how I personally feel about the set, I'm going to put it similarly. I'm going to put it just ahead of Obsidian Flames and Scarlet and Violet base. I'm actually going to put Obsidian Flames below Scarlet and Violet base, now that I think about it. I think I prefer Scarlet and Violet base to Obsidian Flames. I'm not crazy about Obsidian Flames, dude. It just doesn't appeal to me that much. I'm also a little bit tired of Charizard, but that's my own thing. You guys probably don't feel the same way. But yeah, Temporal, I think the arts are cool, but the Pokemon suck. So not much to say about that beyond that. But that's where I'll leave that. Twilight Masquerade is very expensive. I think the set is incredibly overrated. Pretty much carried by the Greninja, although the Carmine pairing and the Eevee cards hold a decent amount of value, all things considered. It's really carried by the Greninja, one of the biggest chases of the era. I am not buying Twilight Masquerade at these prices. It just feels way too hot for me, personally, and I don't think the Greninja is that special. It looks like Splatoon. It looks like a bunch of paint. It's Greninja, which I know is a fairly popular Pokemon, but it ain't a Pikachu or a Gengar, you know what I'm saying? And at these prices, I don't find it that investable. Now, I do think the PCTBs are decent from their price. Of course, they did get a couple waves of reprints, but I'm definitely going to put it above Paradox Rift as far as investability goes. I don't see much bringing it down, although it is only just a year old. You know, I would rather have Twilight than Paradox, but I'm not buying Twilight Masquerade at these prices. And for that reason, I might even consider putting this below Paradox Rift, but it's just a better set. It has a bigger chase card, and that's really going to matter going forward. So I'm going to leave it there. I think that's fine. In the kind of, you know, in that B tier area, it's just pretty expensive. Personally, how I feel about the set, I'm putting it below Paradox Rift. I like Paradox Rift more than this set. Hey, I like Groudon, man. I like Altaria. I like these cards. I legit like them more than pretty much anything in Twilight. My favorite card in Twilight is the Eevee. Beyond that, nothing appeals to me. That's my personal opinion. The Greninja is undeniable. Let me be very, very clear. That is a chase card that will help the set a lot long term. It is going to be more investable than Paradox, probably. But at these prices, again, I just feel more comfortable getting something like a Paradox. It's expensive. Very expensive. And it's relatively young, you know, compared to something like that. It's like a whole year younger, basically. Shrouded Fable, putting it in the pretty bad tier. One or the other. I mean, for the purposes of this video, D and F are essentially the same. I don't think it's the worst set Pokemon has ever created. But it's definitely the worst of the era. And, you know, Pheasantipity being a top card, that will change once it gets rotated out, because it is competitive. But, you know, Persian is nice. Cassiopeia, not a lot there for me. I'm not buying at these prices. PCTB will probably perform fairly well going forward. The set is pretty young, but there's not a lot there for me to invest in it. I am never, ever buying Shrouded Fable, for the record. And for how I feel about the set, it's definitely going to be the worst one. I have no desire to rip this set at all. Not much in it appeals to me. And I think long term, we're not going to look back on Shrouded Fable and go, you know what? This set is incredible. So I feel comfortable putting it here. Stellar Crown is an interesting one. I think it's very expensive for how recent it came out. But really, a lot of the hype kind of started around Stellar Crown and Twilight Masquerade, especially with the Greninja. But there is some hype for Stellar Crown. A lot of pre-orders, right? I personally think the set is pretty ass. Although the Squirtle and Bulbasaur are lovely cards. The Terapagos, I just think, is a dumb Pokemon. Although that art is pretty good for Terapagos. I hate rainbow borders. It's too much going on. I think the set will not age that well. I do not believe it will age that well. I'm going to put it just ahead of Shrouded Fable for investability because it's relatively expensive for how new it is. It's over $200. I'm not buying any Stellar Crown. Nobody will be excited to rip this set. Well, okay, maybe there will be a little bit of excitement to rip this set in the future. You know, it's got a couple cards in it. I get it. Nothing crazy, but I don't find it investable. I just want to focus in the top kind of half of the SE era. And for its price, I'd rather have Paradox Rift. I just think there are better cards in Paradox Rift. And it's newer. So I feel comfortable putting it there ahead of Shrouded Fable. And as far as how I feel about the set, I think it's going to be personally under base for sure. I think I may just prefer it to Obsidian for the Squirtle and Bulbasaur alone. Those two cards are lovely. Obsidian, again, not a lot in there for me. Y'all might disagree. I get it, but I think those two cards are better than anything in Obsidian Flames. That is my opinion. It's more or less, they're ranked the same. I mean, they're in the same kind of tier. It doesn't really matter. That's where I would rank it. Now, Surging Sparks is interesting. It's in a weird spot where it's getting up there in age, right? It's almost a year old, but that's getting up in age. That's vintage these days. It's pretty new. Pretty much the main set that really kicked off the hype. It has some strong chase cards. I'm personally, you guys know, I'm not crazy about the set. Gladius is the best card in a lot of people's opinions. My personal favorite is the Milotic. Those two cards are nice. Very nice. Not crazy about the Latias. I think the Pikachu is terrible. The crown, the whiteness, there's not much going on in it. It's like a crystallized looking Pikachu, rainbow border. It's Pikachu, though. You know, it's gonna hold value, but I don't like it. But again, you had opportunities to buy Surging Sparks at MSRP a couple months ago with Target. I almost did. I didn't. Because I was like, I already have a box. I'm good. I don't like it that much. Part of me wishes I did, though. Maybe just picked up one box. Or maybe two. But, you know, it is fairly expensive. It's like $225. We could probably expect more Surging to hit the market. But, honestly, I think I'm going to put it ahead of Paldea Evolved because for the price and the quality of the set, right? I think you can find decent entry points. And I think the PCETB is pretty good. Magneton Shinji art, lovely card. You know, PCTBs are getting up there, but I don't see them coming back down. And I think that one will age pretty well as far as PCTBs go. Obviously, we're going to get more ETBs and whatnot. I'm almost certain of that. We'll see. But the booster box, if you can get it at MSRP, which you might have some more chances to do, I think it's a fair play. And I think that's going to perform pretty well. Compare that to Paldea, which is nearly twice as expensive. I think the value is there. You might need to wait a little bit. But I think it's probably a pretty solid investment. Now, how I feel about the set, definitely putting it under Paldea Evolved and over Paradox Rift. And kind of a low A, I think, you know, or a high B, kind of somewhere in there. Maybe I'll put it in B to get more engagement. I don't know. I know people love Surging Sparks. I just don't feel that way about it. I'll leave it there. I think I like Paldea more, but I'll put it directly under Paldea Evolved. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Prismatic Evolutions, the talk of the town. That's been the case for the last 6 months since it was released. Prismatic, there's a lot of interesting things to talk about with the set. Do I think it's investable? Yeah, I do. It's an easy S tier in my opinion. Am I buying at market price? I am not buying at market price. I'm not doing it. I've been saying this. I've had plenty of chances to get it at MSRP, which is what I do. Kind of trickle in supply into my collection. You know, I have about 8 ETBs. I got all at MSRP or below with the Costco bundles. And I think at MSRP, it's an absolute no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. You know, this is a set that holds a value of over $4,000, probably $4,800 at this point. Of course, that will come down with more supply, but the pull rates are pretty abysmal. So I expect it to hold a lot of set value as it continues to age. It has one of the best chase cards of the entire era in the Umbreon, obviously. Of course, as a crown, but the art is fantastic. I don't care what anybody says. It is a top card in the era. Obviously, the price reflects that, which I think is a crazy price. I'm definitely not buying singles from the set, I can tell you that. PCTBs, it's to be determined if they'll release more. TBD. But they have restocked it a couple times now. I have 6, and I think that will be a great investment in the future. Strong promo in the EV. Nice looking ETB. Even though it has a crown, it's still EV, and people like it. Also, kind of a weird thing going on with the cases of PC ETBs, which might be like this really weird premium product in the future, which I've made a video on in the past, calling it out. But like you can only get it for a few hours, basically, a sealed case of 4. So there are not that many on the market. That will probably, you know, shoot up in price for those folks who are interested in such a product, where the premium of that might transcend kind of what we would expect out of a normal sealed case, just because it's so scarce. You know, we can talk more about that. I've made a video on it. Go check it out. But yeah, Prismatic, easy S tier investability. Obviously, it's relatively young. Yes, we're going to get more product, but it is a very strong set. And at MSRP or around there, I'm happy picking some up and just holding on to it. I also like ripping it, although I haven't pulled anything. You know, God Packs, Master Balls, these things do matter. With the rip and shipping environment, people continue to buy Prismatic en masse. A lot of product will just continue to get eaten up. If this was 4 years ago, I think Prismatic would kind of be a different story. But there's a lot that's working in its favor, and I just think it's really good. And I also think it's a really good set. I'm putting it above Paldean Fates. I prefer 151, but if you put Prismatic in front of 151, I wouldn't blame you for it. But I think the Gen 1 nostalgia it's gonna be a big enough advantage over Prismatic that I'm comfortable putting 151 solidly ahead. And plus, people enjoy ripping it more, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Journey Together is an interesting one. It's pretty new, and we can expect some heavy reprints. I think the assumption is that if it gets a heavy reprint, it will have a much harder time surviving it in the short and midterm, just because there's some demand for the set, but not nearly as much as something like, you know, Destined Rivals or Prismatic. So for that reason, I am not buying pretty much any Journey Together. Do I think it will be investable in the future? Yeah, enhanced promo does a lot of work for it. The box looks pretty nice. It has some good chase cards in the Lilies, Clefairy, and the Salamence, and so on, and the trainers. It's just, right now, it's kind of a tough time for Journey Together. You know, in 2 years, I think we'll look back and, you know, view this set a little bit better than where it is now. But personally, I'm putting it in the kind of just ahead of Temporal in the C tier. I think that's fair. So new. Definitely not paying over to MSRP for booster boxes on this one. I have 2. I got them at MSRP. That's pretty much what I got. You know, I got a couple PCTBs at MSRP. I'm not really looking to expand my my holdings for this set. It's pretty fun to rip. You know, I got a couple of TBs I'm sitting on just to, you know, one day rip, but like on stream or something. It's a good set. It's not a great set. And I'm not buying over MSRP for it. I'm just not. In terms of how I personally feel about the set, you know, I think it's pretty good. I'm actually going to rank it ahead of Temporal Forces, maybe a bit under Twilight Masquerade, or kind of, you know, somewhere in this range. I like it. I think it's pretty solid. Again, some decent chase cards, very high pull rates. Understand. Excuse me, but you know, I don't get excited when I see Journey Together product. And that's just how I feel. It's kind of a mid-tier set, mid to upper tier set. I'd rather put my money in Paradox Rift, for instance. But I like the cards. They're pretty good. Some people might rank this higher. I understand. And I don't even disagree with you fully. But for now, this is kind of where I'm putting it. And that's pretty much how I feel about it. Now, Distant Rivals is complicated. It's so new. It's not even 2 months old yet. Of course, it's going to be an investable set. It already has showed us that. It's nearly $280 a box, somewhere in that range, which is insane. So for that reason, I'm not buying Distant Rivals. I'm just, I got my one box, paid $215, wasn't able to get any at MSRP. Of course, at MSRP, it's an S tier investment. But will we have chances to get that? Will it be botted too heavily? And will enough time pass to where, eventually it'll be too late and you'll have missed the boat? There's a decent chance, but, I can't recommend buying Distant Rivals at these prices because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Don't get me wrong. Let me be very clear. At MSRP, incredible investment. At current prices, I'm not buying it. It's too expensive, too new, too much potential to get cheaper boxes. The PCTB is nice. I'm not buying those at these prices either because I got one. I'm good. You guys know how I feel about PCTBs, but Destined Rivals, it's complicated right now. I wouldn't be surprised if it just continues to go up. There's so much volume, sales volume, incredibly high sell-through rates. They get purchased up very quickly on Facebook, even at market. So for that reason, I'm going to put it ahead of Surging Sparks in the B tier. I think that's fair. The set is incredible. It is the best booster box in the era. Amazing art selection, in my opinion. So I'm putting it in the S tier. I'm actually going to put it... I could argue Paldean Fates ahead of it. But to make a point, I'll put it ahead of Paldean Fates because I think the arts are that good. I even love the Mewtwo. How they look in person too. They look incredible. That pink really pops on the Mewtwo. But I think it's a really, really good set. It's definitely a top one of the era. Top 5, no doubt about it. Arguably top 3. And it's easily the best mainline set, without question. I just don't think it's super investable right now. It just feels really expensive. We have a new kind of block coming out. It's only 2 months old. And again, I'm not buying it at market price. I'm just not doing it. So I can't, in good faith, recommend it as a super investable set. With that being said, I'm putting it in B because there's so much demand for it, so much volume for it, that it's undeniable. And I wouldn't be surprised if you bought it right now in a year. Will it be higher in price? There's a decent chance it might be. Pretty decent chance. So I'm putting it there. Obviously, at MSRP, S tier, easy. But yeah, I think I've said that enough. Black Bolt and White Flare is an interesting case. Just released less than a week ago. I personally love Gen 5. Big fan of Gen 5. Haxorus, that's my guy. Honestly, a really fun set to open. Pull rates pretty much in every pack. Or a pull in every pack, I should say. It's a very strong set, and it's a very good special set. Special sets in this year, they hit different, right? Is it investable? I mean, probably not. I'm not buying at market price. Prices continue to drop. So, PCTBs, I think there's some value there. I do think there's some value there, going for around 125 bucks. It's not the worst price in the world. Journey Together is around the same. I think the promos are better. Black Bolt, White Flare, although not amazing. But, it's a special set. So it's the best product of it. I think those are okay. I'm going to put it somewhere around here in the B tier. I'm going to put it just below Paradox Rift. I think that's fair because it is a really strong set. That's how I feel anyway. I'd rather have Paradox at this price given its age, especially. It is a better set than Paradox, don't get me wrong. But it's so new. there's not really any point in investing in it right now because I think you'll have a lot of opportunity in the future to get it at a better price. You know, sub MSRP, Black Bolt and White Flare, I believe will do well long term. It's just too early for it. But given what we know about it, how fun it is to open, how strong the set is, which I believe it is. I'm not letting anybody tell me different on that, by the way. Both are strong sets. Black Bolt maybe a little bit ahead of White Flare, but yeah, Victini, the monochromatic cards, the Zekrom, the Reshiram. These are great cards, guys. Great chase cards. And eventually this will be a good investment. I just don't know if it is right now. But with that being said, I like the set. I like Gen 5. I think a lot of people like the set. It's fun to open. It's a special set, which helps it, right? I definitely think it's better than Surging Sparks and Paradox Rift. And I do believe it's better than Paldea Evolved. I actually think a strong A is fair for this set. Again, on this side, this is how I personally feel about the set, right? So that kind of concludes my rankings. This is investability. This is how I feel about the set. You know, you could probably move a couple things around here and there. There's going to be some variance in terms of like how I feel on a given day. Some of you guys might agree with a lot of these generally, but maybe you'd have Paldea higher or Surging higher. Maybe you'd have Destined Rivals and investability because you just believe in it that much, or you think it's an F because it's too expensive. I get it. I get it. This is how I feel about everything right now in the SV era. Now, conclusions we can draw. I think sets like Paradox Rift will be strong in the future. Twilight Masquerade will probably continue to perform well, given its age. It's getting up there. How I feel about Surging doesn't matter. I think this will be a top 3 box of the era. It already is, basically. Pretty undeniable. You know, Destined Rivals, although it's expensive now, you know, I think it will always be a top booster box, the top booster box of the era, one of the best of potentially the decade. We'll see. Of course, we have a lot of sets to come out. We can assume arts get better, but I think this one will stand the test of time. Paldean Fates, you know, while we put it A in investability, we all kind of love Paldean Fates, so maybe it continues to be slept on. The Bubble Mew, arguably the best card in the era. Prismatic 151 goes without saying, probably your 2 best investment points going forward at decent prices, of course. 151 at market even, I would say, over Prismatic. You know, Paldea Evolved, very expensive, will probably continue to perform well in the future. I have it ranked higher than its investability ranking, right? Everything else is pretty on par. So I think there will be opportunity in Black Bolt, White Flare. Give it some time, give it some age. And, you know, if you can get it for a decent price in the future, I think it'll be a no-brainer. I think it's a really, really good set. So, you know, not a ton of obvious investability in this era, but I think it'll probably outperform people's expectations, even given where prices are now. A lot of people say that, you know, SV will actually not age well because the Mega Block will be so much better. And part of me doesn't fully disagree with that. I just think we're getting up there in age to where it's not really going to matter. You know what I mean? Like a set like Paradox Rift is going to be worse than the Mega Evolution set, obviously, but it's like over 2 years old, I believe, and it has good enough cards to kind of to carry it. Same thing with like Twilight and all that. So I think that concludes my rankings. I feel pretty good about it. I think I'd maybe shift a few things around on a different day, but let me know what you guys think. On the investability side versus looking at the sets that you personally like, it's a good way to think about moving forward long term. And I think there's potential for sure. And I think it's, you know, if you look at a set like Destined Rivals at MSRP, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a really, really good performer. And I have a feeling like these sets up here will be the top performers. It's already been the case, and I think it will continue to be the case. And that's where I'm putting my focus at. Not buying these, just not doing it. So, even though I think some of them are decent. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them down below. Investability versus like your personal opinion and how they kind of correlate. And yeah, fun one today. Appreciate the support. And I will see you very soon in the next one. Goodbye.